Happy Wednesday, guys. Today's home workout is a double CrossFit benchmark workout. In the first 10 minutes, we're going to be doing Diane, 2159 of deadlifts and handstand push-ups. I want you to find a weight, if you can, at home that will be kind of moderate to heavy, that you can do at least 7 reps of without dropping the weight. If you can find something like a sandbag or a bucket to use for your deadlift so you can pick up safely. For your deadlifts, you can use that. Handstand push-ups today. Push-ups are always a good option if you want to go in between. Maybe push-ups off of a box, or even doing handstand push-ups, but a couple more ab mats off the floor so you don't have to go as low. You can use that as an option. The goal of these two movements should be able to do at least 7 reps of, and overall, we want to try to finish this within about 5 minutes or so. Approximately plus or minus 2 minutes here, but you want to work on your intensity in this workout. Once you finish that workout, at the 10-minute mark, you're going to rest 5 minutes. So at the 15-minute mark, we're going to start the second benchmark workout, which is Annie. This one is 50, 40, 30, 20, 10 of double unders and sit-ups. This one's a good test of your anaerobic endurance and also your core endurance as well. So make sure, again, with the 50s and the 40s, kind of find that pace where you can manage 30s and down. It's kind of like you're almost there and you're almost finishing, but most people kind of get stuck up between those 50s and 40s with the sit-ups. So try to really focus on breathing and being controlled with your movements to be able to continuously move throughout every set, all 5 sets until you're 10. So again, top workout, really working on your gymnastics and your strength. The second half, we'll work on anaerobic endurance there. Once you've done the workout, we're going to cool down with a 2-minute lower back stretch and a 2-minute pancake stretch. With these guys, really just trying to flush out any lactic acid in our body and also any tightness. So especially with Diane, with the deadlifts, make sure you get after that stretching sequence there for you to cool down and recover for the next workouts to come. Hope you guys enjoyed today's workout and the afterburner, and we'll see you guys next for the warm-up video. Good. All right, we're here for the warm-up. 3 rounds here, 50 running skips. So these running skips, guys, we're just working on getting that heart rate up. Also, you can work on that coordination of the skip. So every time you jump up, try and land on the balls of the foot each time. Don't land on the heels, so we can work on that quick control and working on that springiness off the feet. 50 running skips. After that, we're going to go into 5 inchworms with a tempo push-up, with 1 tempo push-up at the bottom. So for that, guys, that inchworm, start about feet outside hip width there. You can bring it in as you get more comfortable with it, and if you want more of a stretch of the hamstrings. We're going to walk our hands down to that push-up position. Then from here, we're going to go nice and slow on the way down, keeping the elbows in until our chest touches the ground. Then we're going to drive up and then walk our hands in while trying to keep those knees locked out as best as possible so we can feel a stretch in the hamstrings. 5 reps of those, guys. Kind of get yourself moving there, get that push-up down, work on that shoulder or get those pecs activated. Then we're going to go into 5 and 5 lateral lunges. So nice wide stance here. Toes can be slightly flared out if you need to make it a little bit more comfortable on you. We're going to initiate by pushing that hip back and then bending in the knee so we can keep that weight in that mid-foot on the side that we're going towards. Get as low as you can while keeping that balance in the foot. 3-second pause, then drive straight up. Watch out that you guys don't get onto those toes, or in case you kind of fall back onto those heels. Try and keep it evenly distributed amongst your foot as you're coming down. 3-second pause, then drive straight up. 5 and 5 on each side. Once you're done that, we're going to go into 10 Romanian deadlifts with a dual arm fly. So find 2 objects, light objects here. I'm going to use 5-pound plates. You guys can kind of use soup cans to be an option. Anything that's light that you can get some activation with. So for that Romanian deadlift there, we're going to think about kind of keeping that soft bend in the knees, but not a complete bend where we go down to a full deadlift, we're going to put more emphasis on the hamstrings and the glutes. So we're going to push our hips back. So hips go back, keeping the objects nice and tight in our hands. We're going to get to about that mid shin. Then from here, we're going to go for that fly, squeezing the shoulder blades together, back in, and then stand up that deadlift. We're going to be doing 10 reps of those guys, so go nice and slow, especially on the way down. Push those hips back so you can feel in the hamstrings. And then once you're in that secure position, really try to squeeze in between those shoulder blades as you do that dual arm fly. 3 rounds of that, guys. Once you're done, we'll see you next for the workout.
A single arm deadlift, we like to place that item in between the feet. So your deadlift width is going to be about where you squat. You can go a little bit wider if you want to get into that sumo stance. That's totally fine as well. And what I want you guys to think about here is we're going to think about that hip hinge. So I'm going to think about pushing that hip back and then drawing my hips down after that. You can see my shin is still perpendicular to the ground. So the difference if I was squatting is my shin would be going a little bit forward. I actually want to push that hip back a little bit, get my hip up in the air a little bit, and then I'm going to hold on to my object. Pushing with the legs, opening with that hip. We're going to push that hip back and then lower the object again with those legs. I want you guys to squeeze your butt at the top. Make sure the abs are tight. Sometimes when we squeeze our butt, we tend to overarch. Let's make sure we don't do that. Also notice how my head and neck stay nice and neutral. So when I'm at the bottom of that deadlift, I'm not looking straight, I'm not looking down, but I'm kind of looking just maybe a couple feet out in front of me. I want the top of my head to my tailbone to stay in a nice and straight line. If you guys have the mobility and you find it easier or a different type of challenge perhaps to stick to your normal deadlift position, so feet under that hip, and we're just going to keep that dumbbell or kettlebell outside the stance. It makes it a little bit trickier, but it might be a good challenge for you today to do that as long as you keep that back nice and flat. That's the most important part.
So, for the strict handstand push-ups, again, you can have that second progression just in case that first progression you just lose your strength or like halfway through you're not able to do the rep. Always have that second backup in case, just to keep the workout going. So, for that, guys, we're going to talk about that dive bomber. So we're going to use that dive bomber as a progression, and then we're going to go into that strict handstand push-up as the next progression above that. So with that dive bomber, guys, you go nice and wide with your feet. Guys, you should use some kind of ab mat or some kind of mat to get your head down to the ground, at least when you make contact with it. Hands are going to be in about push-up width, and they're going to be close to the feet. From here, we're going to think about leaning forward so that we're on those toes and getting over top of those wrists. And then from there, we're going to be dropping the head down right in front of our hands. So notice that my hands are behind my head and they're not in line. So I want them back here. Then I'm going to press my head straight through the window to finish that rep. So that's key, guys, really trying to get our head in front of our hands when we're doing that strict handstand push-up, whether it be with that dive bomber or even if you get your feet on a box and do it elevated. Make sure that head is going in front of the hands so we can really use that back to drive it up and not use the front of the delts and put too much pressure on the shoulder there. So you guys can do those, or you can do your strict handstand push-ups against the wall. Same things apply. Get those elbows in, get that head in front of the hands, stay in a nice tight body position there. For those double unders, if you have them, let's work on those double unders today. If you're at that 30 range, for example, see if you can break them up into sets of 20, or if you want to try it, seeing if you can do bigger sets today. This is the great day to try and start, or a great workout to start doing that. If you don't have double unders, let's go single skips, or we can go for some running skips here, guys. Also, you can use that previous option from before, which is the double tap hop. So you're gonna keep the feet together, you're gonna jump up, double tap your sides for 60 reps total. Last movement, sit-ups. Again, guys, if you have an ab mat, great, you can use one, or if you want to roll up a sweater or a t-shirt to use as an object underneath lumbar. This will allow you to open up that range of motion a little bit more in your sit-up. So again, with those sit-ups, guys, what I want to see, all the way back, chest, or the shoulders touch the floor, hands can touch the floor on the way up. Remember, those shoulders should at least make it to the hip crease. So if you imagine a hip line with that hip crease going straight up, they should be in the same line as that shoulder on the way up. I don't want you guys to be back here finishing your sit-up. I want you to be all the way through with your back and chest up nice and tall. So again, one more rep here, coming up, really tall, passing that hip plane.
Hopefully you guys hit those 5 rounds. Let's cool off now with some mobility. First stretch, go for 2 minutes, and so you're just holding it in the stretch, guys. For this stretch, again, it's the low back that you're trying to emphasize. So you are going to round your back. You're going to start by being in the seated position. Bring your heels together. Depending on your flexibility, see if you can get your arms underneath it. But if your flexibility is a little bit tight, you can grab your toes, pull yourself slightly forward. If you start noticing that you're kind of comfortable in this position, slide your arms underneath your shins. Where now you're placing your elbows to the floor, bringing you that much lower. Notice how my back is rounded. To get into this stretch, you want to really just kind of decompress and let everything go. So breathe through it, guys, and just relax your body. Okay, so as you're in this position, you want to be relaxed to let all that tissue in your back just really slowly open it up. If you find that it's hard to breathe, back it off a little bit. Okay, now you're going to create tension. You're not going to really get a good stretch. Okay, so go as low as you're comfortable. If you have better flexibility than me, you really want to get lower and lower and lower, guys, to the floor, where you're almost even tucking your belly button in to get your QL so the low back muscle. When you're done the 2 minutes there, then you're gonna go 2 minutes in the pancake stretch. You don't need a post, but you can use a post if you have something at home, or you can grab a door jamb where you kind of reach in to one side. You wanna kick out your feet as wide as you can. Play around with your position of your toes. Sometimes I'll stretch it with my toes going forward. Sometimes I'll pull my toes in. They adjust the stretch just slightly different, okay? So first I'm gonna start with toes in. I'm gonna grab that post, I'm gonna pull myself in. This one's gonna round your back a little bit as well, but your emphasis is on your groin, so your inner thighs. You're pulling yourself in. If you're not getting much of your inner thighs, maybe bring your toes back or forward, kind of play around with the position of your foot. Or last, like I mentioned, you can point your toes, where when I point my toes, I'm able to get a little bit deeper of a stretch. Okay, so play around with it, emphasize your groin. You're gonna hold that for 2 minutes to cool off today, guys. We'll see you tomorrow for the next workout.